Okay, now that you have your scan from MeshMixer, you want to read that into Fusion. So to read that into Fusion, go to Insert and insert the mesh. And we've got the shoulder scaled appropriately in MeshMixer. So there's our scan. And we've got the smoothing that we did in MeshMixer. Now, one thing that I've changed in this view from the default view, usually you have a visual style here that's shaded with visible edges only. I've adjusted this to be wireframe with visible edges only so I can actually see inside a little bit. You absolutely don't have to do that kind of change. Now, if I want to get a circumference, a cross-section of this, I can go to Sketch. I can actually work in the mesh facilities. I don't need to convert this into a solid body object. I can do a mesh, and I can create a mesh section. So I can choose my mesh body, the 3D scan that I've read in, and then I can move this back and forth, and this is giving me a circumference around the plane that intersects with my actual mesh. So I can scroll this mesh over. I can rotate the angle that I'm viewing this at, so I can do these kind of adjustments to get the exact cross section that I really, really, really want to target. So I'm going to target kind of the bicep here. So here I am targeting the bicep just a little bit. I can keep adjusting this. If you want finer adjustments than the 5 degrees that this does, you can type numbers in. So you can really get some, you can get pretty close in there to get whatever positioning you want for your intersecting sketch. So once I've got that done, there's my cross section. I no longer need that mesh body, so I can come over here to the bodies, and I can turn off that. Let's expand out my sketch twice so we can see this is my mesh section. So this is the cross section that I want to measure. Now I can't just directly measure this. This is just a kind of a reference image that Fusion creates. If I want to make that into something I can measure, I need to fit curves to that little section. So I go to Fit Curves to Mesh Section. I actually click on this body that I've created, the intersection. I can go to the spline and path direction. We're going to want to go to the long path so that we can get a nice long view of this fit. And then what I want to do is I want to pick one point on this section. I want to kind of arc around, and I would pick another point. It's a little bit closer around one direction, and then I keep going around, and I pick the third point, and then I keep going around, and I go back to the point that I started with. And once I'm done with that, I can click OK. I can stop my sketch, and then I can turn off my sketch section, and I can see if I did a good job. So what I can see is this will sometimes happen. If I'm too far away from my first point, it'll choose a particular direction to go, so it went around clockwise and didn't get the counterclockwise portion. So I need to go back, and I can do that in the timeline because of the way we're reading this mesh in, we're not converting it into a body that we need to turn off the history, so we can keep doing this until we get a good fit. It's kind of nice. We're keeping that design history in there. So I'm going to fit curves to mesh section again. I'm going to go to my long path, and I'm just going to pick a point, and then I'm going to pick a second point. And if I look, if I zoom in really, really close, I can see what path this is taking around. Right? So I can see, look very closely, I can see where it's red, and I can see where it turns black. That black is it actually fitting around the curve. If I go too close to the initial point, then it won't actually fit a complete curve. So I do need to be careful with that. Click somewhere around here, and I can see that it's fit all the way around this curve, but I want to complete this. I want to get the full view. So if I click all the way back on that first point, then I've got my blue line. That blue line is going to be the feature that I can actually measure. So I can click OK. And then once I've done that, I can turn off the mesh section because I've now created something within the object, within the sketch, that I can actually measure. So I can go to Inspect, I can measure, and I can click on the whole body, and it'll give me the area that there is and the entire loop length around that, 338.815. So that's how you get the circumference. Working on getting a good way to scale this appropriately was, I think, the last thing that you wanted to see. So there you go. Hope it helps.